Jack, Tom, and Aaron were college mates who shared the same dorm room. One winter break, they decided to embark on an adventure at a wildly popular ski resort. Along with them, a bunch of other people were also there, skiing like crazy. The trio thoroughly enjoyed this experience, as it possibly was their last chance to go on a trip together before the end of their college life. They played with the snow, started snowball fights, and the excitement filled the air. As the day started to wind down, it was clear that they wanted to try something more adventurous. They decided to climb to the peak of the snow-covered mountain. However, they hadn't anticipated the dangers involved in the climb. Out of nowhere, a tumultuous snowstorm hit and they were forced to abort their plan and slide down the mountain. By this point, the snowstorm had intensified and the path downhill was completely covered in fresh snow. Fortunately, they had their mobile phones on them. They immediately connected to the resort's management, only to learn that the storm had caused many casualties and they would have to wait for some time to be rescued. The manager advised them about the existence of an abandoned management cottage somewhere along the mountain, where they could take shelter from the storm. Left with no other choice, the three decided to act on the advice. Before long, they found the cottage, dimly lit and simple, containing a couple of abandoned wooden beds, a fireplace, and a portrait of a man hanging on the wall. They guessed that it must be the portrait of a former ranger, bowed to thank the man in the portrait, and started cleaning the beds to rest and recover their energy. As Jack cleaned, he noticed a sticky feeling on his hand as though he had touched paint, which annoyed him. Tom and Aaron suggested that he go out and clean his hand with some snow. As Jack went outside and cleaned his hand, he was shocked to find it covered in blood. Terrified, Jack ran back inside to tell his friends what happened. As he was about to speak, something eerie occurred. The portrait that had hung up there was now replaced by a clear glass window. Suddenly, a severed head fell onto the wooden floor from nowhere. The head was none other than the man whose portrait they had just seen on the wall. At a recent gathering, an old friend of mine, let's call him A, shared a story with me. A was born into wealth, the only child in his family, and was showered with love and affection by his parents. But as fate would have it, when A was 7 years old, he was kidnapped. His parents were inconsolable and heard nothing about his whereabouts for several years. They ended up stumbling upon a child at an orphanage, let's call him B, who bore a striking resemblance to A. Feeling as though perhaps this was divine intervention, especially since A's mother didn't have any successful pregnancies since A's disappearance, they decided to adopt B. They redirected all the love that they had for A onto B. B wasn't aware of A's existence and life went on. However, the story twists as such tales often do. For years later, A was discovered safe and sound and was brought back home. His parents thought he wouldn't mind B's presence, but to his surprise, there was another child living in his home. Since then, they became the best of friends. They wore the same clothes, attended the same school, and were even in the same class. They were often mistaken for twins, but the preferential instinct towards the biological offspring was evident. A's parents would always tilt towards A, showing him more attention and care. Yet A wasn't satisfied and would often bully B in private. B, however, saw A as more lovable, hence incepted copying A. But the more B imitated A, the more A despised it. Sometimes even A's parents would get the two confused. The tipping point came when A ended up beating B out of frustration, impelling him to stop imitating him. But B rebelled. After all, B knew he was better than A in many aspects. But B was no match for A, who was physically stronger after enduring harsh conditions while being abducted. In the scuffle, B fell and lost a tooth, leaving B in tears. But A's parents' first attention was still A. After that incident, B became reclusive. He stopped imitating A and remained in A's shadow like a follower. Then one summer, B tragically drowned. It started with both A and B deciding to go swimming and B, unfortunately, venturing too far into deep water. A blamed himself for the incident but was guided through his misery by his parents. What happened next? I asked, captivated.